guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So it's been a little while. I'm really sorry for going a bit like AWOL. I had a project in work that was just taking up a lot of my like brain energy and time, and so when I got home I just didn't really want to do anything. So I haven't made videos for a little over a month now, but that project's over now and I'm finally motivated enough to get back into YouTube. I'm definitely going to be a bit more consistent with them now, hopefully once a week, hopefully on Mondays, but they might be delayed a day or two just depending on obviously my plans and how my schedule looks. But anyway, in today's video I'm going to be doing a little, well not a little, a bit of a big book haul. So these are just going to be all the books I've bought so far this year. I haven't been sticking to my book buying ban. I'm definitely better than last year, but yeah, I'm definitely buying more than I plan to. I am trying to stick to books like I actually want, or like continuations of series that I'm currently reading. So it's not too bad, but I just can't resist buying books, especially if I know I'm going to love them or they're just really pretty. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to start with January because that is actually the biggest haul. I don't know if it's because the books themselves are big or just because there's quite a few of them. There's definitely more than my February and March hauls, but I also have a few like subscription boxes in January. And forgive me if I butcher any authors' names. So first up we have the Penguin Clothbound Classics edition of Ghosts and Goblins by lafcadio hearn. If you've seen my bookshelf tour or you've been on my Instagram, you know I collect the Penguin Clothbound Classics editions, both the normal ones, these little ditty short stories, as well as the poetry editions. I just really love classics and I really enjoy beautiful books, so I just really want to collect as many as I can. And these small ones are just like so cute. Like I love how similar the designs are to the normal size classics, like the normal classics, but still like sets themselves apart a bit with this like diamond motif on all of them. But yeah, this book is like sort of a bunch of short stories, sort of like fairy tales, fables, that kind of thing, and there's actually quite a few Japanese stories in this, I believe, so that'll be really interesting to read. Next up we have Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, one of my new favourite series of all time. So I read One Dark Window from the library, I think was it last year? I think it was in December I read it. But I really love that series, and when I went to, so most of these books are from Waterstones, so when I went to Waterstones to try and get the first one, they didn't have it, they only had the second one, so I just got this one for when I eventually continue on with the series. And then I have also gotten One Dark Window, but in a later haul. But yeah, I'm not going to really spoil what it's about, but just know if you love gothic fantasy, then I urge you to try this one out. So again from Waterstones we have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne. So I already have the original trilogy, but I cannot find the first one. But I never actually bought the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes when it came out. I've seen the movie and I've heard that the book is a lot more sort of in-depth about Snow's character. Like you see him be more of a psychopath than he's shown in the movie. So I really wanted to get it, and I'm planning on reading them all later this year. And then also Sunrise on the Reaping that's just come out. So yeah, I'm really excited for that reread, and I'm really excited to learn more about Snow and Haymitch and how they developed into people that we know in the Hunger Games trilogy. I actually think all of these books are from Waterstones except for the 2 subscription ones I have at the end. So yeah, just all of these ones are from Waterstones. So next we have Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is a sequel to Ninth House and it's part of a duology, and this is another series that I'm planning on reading later this year, and I'm really excited about it because if you know me, you know I love Leigh Bardugo's writing. I love like the ideas she comes up with. I love sort of her magic systems and that. She's a really intriguing writer, I think, and this one seems a bit more dark and violent compared to the other books I've read by Leigh Bardugo, so it'll be interesting. Next up we have another Penguin Clothbound classic, and that is The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. So I am really interested in like the Middle Ages, medieval times, just the way of life, fashion, architecture, literature, art. Like I just find it also interesting. I don't know if some people know this, but I actually am doing the Ultimate Decades Challenge on Sims 4, and I'm still stuck in the medieval times because I love it. But yeah, I've heard really great things about this little book of stories, so I really want to get into it to just learn more about literature at the time. I'm actually going to be enrolling on a short online course that University of Oxford are doing called Middle English Literature, and one of the books that you study in it is Canterbury Tales, and then you also study Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and Piers Plowman, as well as just sort of the life and beliefs at the time to further understand the context of the books. But I think this is sort of like the blueprint for chivalric romances, you know, knights, princesses, and then just sort of like basic peasant life. So I'm really excited to read this later this year. And one of the stories in this is The Knight's Tale, so I would definitely want to watch that movie as well as some Monty Python, and maybe I'll even get back into watching Merlin. But yeah, I'm really excited about getting into more medieval literature. Next up we have Lucy Undying by Kiersten White. So this is another library book that I read, I think again in December, that I really loved. I'd anticipated it for a while, but I didn't know if I wanted to buy it, even though I absolutely adore the illustrator who did the cover. That was one of the main reasons I found out about this book, but I ended up loving this book. It's so interesting, and just Kiersten White's perspective on what happens to Lucy Westenra after the events of the Dracula novel, and also just about the other characters in that, what happened to them. It's just so interesting and fresh and intriguing. So I just had to buy it for myself, and I really recommend reading this. So next up is my January illumicrate book, and that is Watermoon by Samantha Sotto Yambao. I really like this art, but I think I actually prefer the original cover. I wish they did it on like the reverse of the hardback like cover flap thing, but they didn't. We got the cover and the back, and then you got the sprayed edges, the spreads, and then this is the naked cover. I do really enjoy this naked cover as well, but I think they should have changed the sprayed edges because it doesn't really go, you know, like the colours don't really match. This is too bright compared to this. It definitely matches obviously this one, but no, yeah, the end pages look really cool, very fantastical, very Infinity Nikki, I think I'd say. Yeah, this is about a pawn shop that deals in people's life choices and regrets, and it follows a woman as she wakes up to find that the pawn shop has been broken into, and that her father's missing, and that something's been stolen. I had already been eyeing this up myself, so I was really excited to find out that it was the illumicrate January book, and I definitely need to get to it at some point. And then I also have the illumicrate Evernight book for January, which is Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. Again, this is a book that's designed by one of my favourite illustrators. Like, I don't know if you can see that fully. Like, look at that, that's just gorgeous. And then you got the spreads. I love the birds on that. So this one does actually have another side to the cover, which is like a recolour of the original cover. And then we've got the naked cover, which is really cool. And again, matches the spreads, but the spreads are black, so anything matches it. You've got the end papers, which are just sort of little snapshots of scenes in the book that I also think are really cool. I'd love if illumicrate sold some of the illustrations on their covers as prints, because I just think they'd be really nice. But yeah, I believe this is about a crime scene cleaner who actually starts investigating a murder, or murders. I think there's like a string of killings that no one can really explain, and her sister herself was murdered and the killer was never caught, so there's some kind of strife with that, I think. But I think I'm going to save all the Evernight books until October and read them then, get in the really spooky mood. The Evernight book box is quarterly, so I'll get the next one in April. Right, moving on to my February books. So all of these books are again from Waterstones, because my local independent did not have them, unfortunately. So first up we have Kaiju number 8, volume 2 and 3 by Naoya Matsumoto. This is a really fun series about a defense force that fights kaiju that attack humans, and it follows a man who ends up turning into a kaiju, you can sort of switch it on and off, and then him sort of using that to join the defense force and help out whilst trying to hide it from the very people who are trying to hunt kaijus. It's very comedic, very action-packed though, and interesting relationships and plot points. I love the anime, but I felt the ending to the anime was a bit anticlimactic. It definitely set up a lot of good things for season 2, but I just felt that the ending, particularly for season 1, was just a bit anticlimactic. I feel like they're saving all the action for season 2. But yeah, I really wanted to get into the manga, so I've already got the first volume, so I got the next 2, and I think I'm going to continue buying it. Next up we've got Modern Gothic by a variety of authors. These are a collection of Gothic short stories that I think will be really interesting. I really love Gothic fiction, no matter the genre. You know, it can be like horror, fantasy, a classic, like I love Wuthering Heights. So, you know, anything just a bit airy I think is really interesting. But yeah, I think this will be like another one for October. I think my October's just stacked with like airy horror books and that. Next we have The Seas by Samantha Hunt. I've seen this around actually for the past few years, and I've always been interested in it, but I don't actually really know what it's about. I just thought it seemed interesting from the way the covers looked and the way people talked about it. Okay, so it seems to be about a woman who's stranded in a coastal fishing town, and she's actually a mermaid, and it's a coming of age tale, but it seems like very psychological in what it talks about. That'll be a cool read, I think. I've already read another book about someone who thinks they're a mermaid and it's a bit psychological, so I might save that for like later in the year because I don't really want to read two books that are too similar so close together. But yeah, sounds really interesting. Another one for the TBR pile. Next up is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I finally got it, and like I said before, I've already read this from the library, but I just had to get it for myself. Like, it has to be on my shelf, and I'm excited for Rachel Gillig's other book, The Night in the Moth. I don't know if I want the hardback of that or if I would wait for the paperback. I know my library might be getting it, so I'll read it from the library first, I think, and then make a decision on whether I want the hardback or the paperback. Next up we have Dark Rise by C.S. Passett, I don't know how we say that, but I already have read books by this author. I read the Captive Prince trilogy. I think about it a lot. Lawrence and Damianos, like, she cooked with that. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed her books, like her world building, and the description of this book just seemed so much different to what the Captive Prince is about. It's definitely more fantasy. Captive Prince was just more like alternate historical fiction, whereas this one seems to be a lot more fantasy based, and I thought it would be really interesting to see what she does with fantasy. And you know, I'm also kind of here for the romance, so I don't know when I'm going to be reading this, but I definitely want to read it this year, hopefully. I definitely recommend checking her out, but definitely maybe check the trigger warnings first before you dive into any of her books, I would say. So yeah. And next up we have my March books, which are all from my local independent bookshop. You know, gotta support the locals. So first off we have A Record of a Night Too Brief by Hiromi Kawakami. I really love these Pushkin Press editions that they've been doing. They're just very eye-catching with the colours and the simple design. So this book contains 3 stories about 3 women experiencing loss, loneliness and unusual romances. You know I love a good translated fiction book, so I thought I couldn't go wrong with this one. Next up we have One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, and I absolutely hate that this is a fake sticker. Like, why'd you ruin the cover by putting a fake sticker on it? But anyway, I have the Atlas 6 and Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I've already read the Atlas 6 and I really enjoyed her writing. And there's someone on Instagram I follow who is just obsessed with One for My Enemy and they're constantly recommending it, so I thought, okay, why not? I'll get it. It's sort of inspired by Romeo and Juliet, but they're 2 witch families, which I enjoy. I always enjoy like classic stories being retold as fantasies. And I just love that Olivia Blake's books, like, at different parts, different chapters, she always tends to have like illustrations. I really love that about her. Yeah, and the art's just always so good. Like, she's really feeding the fans, and I like it because you can just kind of get a feel for what she thinks the characters look like and how they present themselves. But yeah, hopefully I really enjoy this, and I hope it lives up to the hype that I've heard on Instagram. So yeah. Next up we have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Right, so The Pride of the Orange Tree, that is like one of my Roman Empire books now, one of my top books ever. Like, it was gorgeous, and I'm really in love with Samantha Shannon's writing, her world building, her characterization and all that. So I really wanted to get into her previous series that she's done, this one, and it's another fantasy one, but rather than historical like Priory, it's set in the future. It's set in 2059. But yeah, it seems fun. It involves the criminal underworld, which Priory didn't, and I think it'll be really interesting to just read some of her earlier writing, because I think she's sort of rewritten them after a certain amount of time, didn't she? Yeah, so it was originally published when she was 21. Wow. And it's this big already. This one has been significantly revised, and it follows same course of events, rewritten with a bit more experience. I like that. I like that an author is going back at work she wrote when she was really, really young and just updating it. But yeah, that's really interesting. Oh my god, and she's got a Charlotte Bronte quote. Besides this earth and besides the race of men, there is an invisible world and a kingdom of spirits. That world is round us, for it is everywhere. Oh, I love the Bronte sisters. Okay, and I love that she has like glossaries and sort of who's who in the family. And of course, lovely maps. Lovely maps. Love that. So I'm definitely excited to read this, and a girl I work with, she has nothing but praise for this series. So again, another one I hope lives up to the hype. Oh my god. Everything is falling. Okay, stay. Next we have The River Has Roots by Amal El-Matar. This is quite a short book, and it seems like a dark love story that deals with the Fae, and we know that most Fae stories are dark love stories, so checks out. And it seems like a sort of, not mimics, but sort of brings new life to the way that old fairy and folk tales were told. And I really love folk tales, so I think this will be like a really cool one to read. Oh cool, it's got little little like lino prints. Oh my god, it's so cute. Yeah, it's so cute. It seems like a proper little folk tale with the little drawings. And last but not least, we have Little Red Death by A.K. Benedict, and it's signed. Hey. And I love the sprayed edges, the little roses. So this book follows a detective as they investigate a series of murders that seem based on different classic fairy tales. And again, I love fairy tales. I love them. I love when people incorporate them. It seems very Wolf Among Us. And I loved Wolf Among Us the game, so I'm really excited to get into this. Probably another October book, maybe earlier, I don't know, we'll see how the year goes. So yeah, that's my book haul for the first quarter of 2025. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you maybe got some inspiration, some recommendations. And if you've read any of these books, definitely give me like a little mini spoiler-free review, what it's about and how you found it. I'd really like to know. If you made it this far, then comment a rose, like the last book. Comment a little rose. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my homecoming video, and I shall see you next time, hopefully. Sweet dreams.